back in the day, I'll speak for on the hospitality side. I mean, if you were a chef, you were never at home when the family was home. You know, when it was work time, then you were there and the kids were at home and they were having dinner without you and all that stuff, and you couldn't go to the recitals. Now that social media and stuff has allowed more people to like work normal times, still be at home with their family, and you know, it still doesn't work out that way all the time for everybody, but it's allowed me to focus more on the marketing side of the business and not have to go to events every single weekend where I am spending time at home.
There's a guy that I worked with. I was kind of done with social media in general, but this guy that I worked with was sending me these TikToks, man, and I'm like, I'm not gonna download TikTok, man. I'm like 38 years old, dude. I'm like, I don't want this. This is not the app. So he kept sending me these things, but I'm like, I don't know, man, this looks kind of funny. So I download the app. And so I'm like, wait a minute. I kind of like this place because on TikTok, it wasn't like all the drama of every person you know in your life and everything that is going on in everybody's life, which I appreciate everyone's problems, but I don't need to see that all the time, right? And so I kind of didn't want to see any of that. But now I'm on TikTok where I don't know any of these people. And then I get to kind of watch this same stuff, these reels on cooking and all this. And I'm like, wait, there's people on my age on here. And I'm like, oh, you know. And so I made a couple videos and then I just started spouting off on a voiceover about, we need to stop fucking wasting our money. And why are we buying this? And what are you doing buying these like this? And this is stupid. And like this whole, and then it got a huge response of people saying, I didn't know that.
All right, everybody. Today we have a special guest, Tony Bartleson, but I bet you know him as MeatDad. And if your feed is anything like mine, he's coming up and you're seeing all his videos. MeatDad, nice to meet you, man.
Nice to meet you, Duce. This is an honor, man.
Man.
I've been watching you for a while. I enjoy your content, so this is just as fun for me, man. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, this is so exciting, and this is truly what the podcast and internet is really all about, because it's bringing us together. Never knew you before, saw you on a feed, and really where I put the connection together was I listened to the American Glutton podcast all the time. Yeah. And Ethan does an amazing job, and I'm listening, and I'm hearing this voice, and I'm like, wait a second, I know that guy. And then I'm looking at my Instagram feed, and I'm like, it just like when a light bulb went off. Oh my God, he's on the podcast I listened to. So
yeah, Ethan, shout out Ethan.
Yeah,
I love Ethan, man.
Ethan Suplee does an amazing job. He's a great actor, but I really love his podcast. He talks to, kind of like he says in the intro, like, he talks to professionals, but then the everyday guys like us, and I relate to so much of what he's talking about. It's really a great show.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that's been through it, and he's speaking on his experience, and that's kind of what we're trying to do, in a different area, And like for me, I didn't grow up, or I didn't do a bunch of barbecuing. I mean, I did, but nothing like you. I cut meat, right? And so for me, I'm really, really good at this part, but I'm still learning a lot on this part, and I'll never stop learning. So that's why it interests me so much,
Let's get into that a little bit. What was your background before you became MeatDad? What were you doing?
So, yeah, I mean, I'll give you the quick rundown. I've been cutting meat for a little over 20 years. So I started when I was 19. I'm 40. I started as an apprentice at a grocery store, Safeway. Mm-hmm. And yeah, man, it was a union job. It was something that, my dad was in the union. So It was like, this seems pretty cool. I got an apprenticeship. I got to cut meat, and I was learning a lot. And I worked with all the old school men that were just kind of, dragging you through the mud, hounding you. And I worked really good that way. I felt that was, it was making me a man, And so I felt good about what I was doing. So I kind of dug into it a little deeper and went from there. And then I worked for some independent stores, and I learned some other stuff, how to break down. So we did lambs, and we did pigs and goats, and then chickens. And then, it was all a little bit different. So I'm like, man, there's so much out there. And then I've also worked for Whole Foods for 5 years.
Okay.
And so I've had a little taste of each world. And then I worked for another independent, and kind of worked their shop and kind of brought it back to life. And then here I am today. I don't actually work in a butcher shop anymore at this point. I raise my kids. I'm a full-time dad.
That's amazing. I love the artwork in the background, by the way.
Oh man, this is my whole entire life right here is these kids. So
How old are they?
uh, I got a 5-year-old and then I got a 3-year-old. So it's
That's
it's
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing, man. So I've my wife and I have worked a long time to get to where we're at. My wife's a scientist. She went to school. We moved to St. Louis, came back, and then when all said and done, we finally were able to settle. And I'm now doing social media, and she's a scientist, and I get to raise my kids. So number one, my wife and kids, and then everything else. So that's, I think, the ultimate goal for anyone in life is to be able to take care of themselves and then their family, and
Yeah.
then worry about the rest of the stuff. So
Well,
it's
I
pretty
think
crazy.
it's so cool that, and I think the internet and social media has allowed people to really follow their passion and do what they like while maintaining somewhat of a normal lifestyle where you're still at home with your kids, you get to have dinner with them and all that stuff. Because back in the day, I'll speak for on the hospitality side. I mean, if you were a chef, you were never at home when the family was home. When it was work time, then you were there and the kids were at home and they were having dinner without you and all that stuff, and you couldn't go to the recitals. Now that social media and stuff has allowed more people to like work normal times, still be at home with their family, and it still doesn't work out that way all the time for everybody. But it's allowed me to focus more on the marketing side of the business and not have to go to events every single weekend where I am spending time at home.
If you can get there, it's an amazing change where you can't, because it's again, it's something that I I worked every Christmas Eve, every New Year's Eve, every New Year's Day, some Christmas days, every Easter, every single holiday, because if you think about it, that's when people want their roasts, their steaks, their specialty. So I was up at 3 a.m. I'm working till 4 p.m., going home and then eating the meal tired for,
Yeah.
forever. And so the last couple years now, man, I had Christmas like Eve and Christmas Day and the day after Christmas where I didn't have to reset a meat counter or all the stuff that you only close one day a year, so all that meat that sat there for the day is starting to rot, so you have to transform it the next day, and it's just so much work, and you got to get there early, and then you're not focusing on Christmas and your family because you're like, I gotta kind of get through this. And so for me, the
That
last couple of years, I have the kids, and man, Christmas, the day before Christmas, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, the day after,
It's
I'm
amazing
just,
because you can really enjoy the holiday and be there with the family. And it's not just, I know exactly what you're talking about because it used to
yeah,
be the same way for me where I might have been off on Christmas Day, but the day before I was working and then right again back at the next day to make sure everything's still rolling with the business. And it's cool, but it's not as good as having a couple days to really, settle in and enjoy it with the family. Most
yeah,
definitely.
it's an amazing difference, and I get that most days now. So I get my kids, and I get to be a dad, and I get to do all this stuff, and then that's why it's so fun, man. I'm like a big kid. I get to be a big kid all day long, and then mess around with some meat.
Yeah. No, that's so cool. So, what really set it off where you started to see some traction and be like, wait a minute, maybe this internet thing or this social media really has a place for me to grow or do something with? How did that progress for you?
I mean, I think in the beginning I was just messing around, man. I was just messing around. I was doing a little bit of social media for the shop that I was working at. I was doing their Facebook, and then I'd post stuff. Oh, there's special this week, or there's some steaks. So I'm
Hmm.
like, I have my phone out, and there's a guy that I worked with. I was kind of done with social media in general, but this guy that I worked with he was sending me these TikToks, man, and I'm like, I'm not gonna download TikTok, man. I'm like 38 years old, dude. I'm like, I don't want this is not the app. So he kept sending me these things, but I'm like, I don't know, man. This looks kind of funny. So I download the app, and so I'm like, wait a minute. I kind of like this place because on TikTok it wasn't like all the drama of every person you know in your life and everything that is going on in everybody's life, which I appreciate everyone's problems, but I don't need to see that all the time, right? And so
Yeah.
I kind of didn't want to see any of that. But now I'm on TikTok where I don't know any of these people, and then I get to kind of watch this same stuff, these reels on cooking and all this, and I'm like, wait, there's people on my age on here, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
and so I made a couple videos, and then I just started spouting off on a voiceover about we need to stop fucking wasting our money, and why are we buying this, and what are you doing buying these like this, and this is stupid, and like this whole, and then it got a huge response of people saying, I didn't know that, and it was something simple like a boneless pork loin where you
I was
just
going to
slide
say
a
it was
knife
like a
through it.
pork loin. I remember that video, and people don't understand how, like, that's the most cost-effective piece of meat you could get, pretty much. You know,
It really
pork loin
is.
is
I mean, I
amazing.
have one in my refrigerator right as we speak, man. I'm not
Yes.
even kidding. And so that was the first thing. And then I see that not only did they enjoy, I guess, the kind of the way that I was delivering it to them, it was more like, I appreciate cooking shows and I watched them growing up, but I am not going to be the guy that goes like, hello, thank you, and how are you? This is going to be like this and that if you want.
Yeah.
And that's just not me. And so for me, I feel like I'm talking to my friends or my best friend or
Right.
something. And I'm like, and that's how I kind of say, I'm like, yo, Trav, stop buying. I'm like, stop buying these filet mignon, man. All right. If you love them so much, go to the business center, go get one of those chunks, learn how to peel it, and then cut them up and then freeze them. You're paying $30 a pound right now, dude. You can
Yeah.
get one of these for 11.
Right.
And then like, what is your deal? And so that's how I'm talking to people. I'm like, come on. And I'm just getting emotional because I want to actually help and like save my friends, dude. Like, come on, man. Don't be stupid with like, don't, and so if you have something to teach me, then teach me, I got my buddy Travis, he's a landscaper. So I'm like, teach me how to do this stuff. And then call
Yeah.
me stupid.
So how long, like, when you started, because, I mean, your following is crazy, and I got a quick story about that, but, I mean, you have, like, over 1 million followers on Instagram, over 2 million followers on Facebook, and I'm not sure about TikTok. I can't remember, but it's...
Somewhere I got 1 million and something, million in a quarter or something. Million
on
and a half
TikTok,
somewhere.
too. Yeah, I mean, that's just crazy, and it's only been, what, 2 years or something like that since you've really been focused on it?
Yeah, it's been about 2 years since I've been doing it, but it's probably been like a year since I've really been like turned it into like, oh, I guess this is my career now,
That is
because
unbelievable, man.
yeah,
That's
and
so cool.
it's kind of, I mean, all the stuff that has come along with it, and just I've learned so much about a lot of different things. I've met so many fantastic people, so many, man, so many great connections. It's all of it on top of like my wife and my kids. It's like it's all changed like my perspective on life,
Yeah.
And so because life is hard, man. Life is fucking hard, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be if you're doing what you really like,
Yeah.
And so
And having fun with it too. I think that's
yeah.
so important. Just to have
And being
fun.
able to do that, I got lucky to find my niche of being able to do what I love, be with my family, and kind of do all this stuff. But, I wasn't just luck. We worked really, 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 really hard to get to the position where we were at, to even get to that mental space, man, because
Yeah.
it's a long road to get to where you're at mentally. And, I mean, I've started taking care of myself lately. We were talking about that. I mean, I've lost 75 pounds in the
Congrats,
last 6
dude.
months, man, and I feel good. And it's like, again, it all has to do with mental and taking care of yourself. And then now it's like, for me, I want to help everyone else like that I can, because why not, man? If I can help you in some way, why not, man?
I want to know about one thing specifically that I think will help some people. Well, I want to talk about the fitness stuff too, but the one thing that you talk about, and I've heard you talk about a couple times that really intrigues me, is the chuck eye roast. Explain that, how you get that. One part is more like a ribeye, and the other part is like you would do something more like braising with. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's one, the way that any of you and I can buy this at a warehouse store or maybe one of your grocery stores, you can get it in a big piece, right? And so
Right.
it's probably about 18 pounds, I'd say,
Okay.
18 to 20. It's a big piece. So one side is gonna be, it was connected to the rib, right?
Okay. It's
And
like
so
the
the
end
one
cut.
side, the very end of the rib, and so the part that it's connected to is the part with the spinalis, right? And
Okay.
so that last piece, and so the last 2 or 3 inches is absolutely golden on that piece of chuck. And so if you get that off, you get your chuck eye steak. And then on the
Hmm.
other side of that chuck eye steak is the Denver steak. And so
Oh,
those can be cooked both just as
like a
is, like
steak. Yeah.
as a steak. And so, I take them apart because then you can kind of trim up some of the silver skin and get them all cleaned up and then use all that fat to render down and then cook them in. And you're like, I mean, I learned this when I was an apprentice. Like these were $2 a pound, man. These were
Yeah.
like, oh man, the flat irons, we couldn't get rid of flat irons. We would sell them the same price as shoulder clods. We would,
Jeez.
and we would put them out and hope to sell them. And yeah, it was wild, man.
And now that, I mean, that stuff is like $4 or $5 a pound if you buy like the chuck roast or whatever. But if you buy a ribeye, it could be 15, $18 a pound, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
so it all depends on where you go, what you do, what meat you're buying, and all of it's just there's so much into it, and there's so many levels where But I'll just talk about straight USDA choice, that
Hmm.
USDA Prime that a regular store would carry,
Right.
right? And so, uh, yeah, to get the best value, you got you. It's hard to say this because unless you go to like if you go to a butcher shop, right,
Hmm.
you really need to know what they're selling.
Okay.
So, and what you're getting. And the reason is anybody can sell you anything, right? And just say, oh, this is nice USDA choice meat, right? And so, where did they get that meat? Swift premium meat, right? Where does Costco get their meat? Swift premium meat. So, all they've done is made it really nice, put it in their butcher shop, got some steaks, and now they're charging you $28 a pound for a USDA choice or prime ribeye
Hmm.
when you can get the same exact thing at Costco uncut, right? And so that is a huge margin jump because of a butcher shop. So a grocery store is going to come in a little lower, maybe $14 to $17 for that margin, right? And
Hmm.
so they're still paying the same price as Costco, maybe a little more because Costco buys so much, right?
Yeah.
So they're still paying around the same price, but they're selling it for 15 to 18, and then the butcher shop, that is the fancier butcher shop. That's why you need to know. I've worked at places where it's not grass-fed beef from a local farmer. It's just choice beef. And so
Right.
the deception in the customer's eyes, they don't realize it, and it's not really anyone trying to deceive you. They're telling you what they're selling, but they're not telling you, hey, you could also go to Costco and go get one of these. I mean, in fact,
Yeah.
there was a couple times during Christmas where we ran so low on prime ribs that I had to run to Costco, go grab prime ribs, bring them back to the shop, and fill orders.
And cut
But it
them
was
in
the
the
same.
smaller sections like they do at the grocery store, right?
But it was all the same. No, it was the
Yeah.
same. So it would be a Swift premium box over at Costco,
Yep.
and then a Swift premium box at my store.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Like same package, same
That's
exact
crazy.
thing. And so now we're selling them for a little bit more expensive because of you're all, I mean, you're also getting it trimmed, you're getting it tied, you're getting a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it's the same piece of meat.
Yeah. One thing about the whole take the larger cut and then cut it into smaller pieces, and I actually saw you do it on your channel, and we filmed it, and we didn't release it yet, but it's coming in the next couple of weeks. We had to film ahead because our videographer is going on her honeymoon, so we filmed a bunch of stuff. Then we're gonna release it as we need. But anyways, is the top sirloin roast, and we
Uh-huh.
separated it into the culottes and to the lean steaks, and it was such an educational experience. I watched a couple videos and then to go through and do it myself, and it was like the first time I ever did it. But those culotte steaks are no joke, man, and they are good.
And
I
that's one of the best. You nailed it right there. That's one of the
Yeah,
best, most versatile pieces of meat that you could buy. I mean, you get
yeah,
anything out of the top sirloin, and then as you continue to do it, It just
Yep.
becomes second nature. You're peeling, you see the right angles, and then you're like, okay, because obviously you can handle a knife. You've done it quite a few years, so
Yeah.
anybody can do any of this, and that's why I want to tell everybody. It's like it's not as crazy as you think. The way that you buy it, it's already broken down. You're just cutting it up,
Right.
right? And just
I mean,
finding
that's
the
what
seams.
YouTube is great for, is like, I didn't know exactly how to break it down. I watched a video, and yeah, I have a little more experience than the average person with the knife and meat in general, but I still watched the video. I went back and did one before the video, and then during the video, it was just like the second one I ever did. And it turned out good, man. And like I said, when I cooked those culottes, I was like, this is like, people need to know about that because it's so juicy and tender. And it's like, I always kind of related that to the tri-tip, but it's better than tri-tip. It's more tender, in my opinion, anyways.
So it's just a little different, So the
Yeah.
picanha, aka the culotte, the
Right.
sirloin tap. The difference is like the style of cooking it and the way you're going to get the best flavor out of it. So
Yeah.
the tri-tip they're just a little bit. So you want to cook, I would say the picanha or the culotte more like a prime rib, and the
Mm.
tri-tip you want to almost get that grill, almost a little brown around the outside. You know what I mean? Where you get that. That's us in California, where it's just that red in the middle, but it has that crispy crust on the outside, and it's just a whole different mouthfeel.
Yeah.
It's like prime ribby. You get a taste of the beef, and over here you're tasting the char and like
Yeah.
and all the oh god, I'm saying I'm just getting all fired up.
That's awesome.
I want a tri-tip sandwich right now, baby.
Yeah. Let's go. What part of California are you in?
I'm just south of San Francisco, just a little bit south.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm right
Nice.
here in the Bay Area. Right here. I
Sweet.
mean, here we go, Warriors, baby.
There you go. I got family. My sister lives in San Diego, so I make it down there every so often. But my buddy Sean at Cali Barbecue, he's just outside of San Diego too. He does so much content, and he's always encouraging me. And I told him why I brought it up is because he's always talking about collaborations and everything. And I told him that you duetted one of my videos on Instagram, and I'm no joke. Within 20 minutes, I had 400 new followers, and within 2 days, I had 2,000 new followers. And I was just like, man, MeatDad's people listen to him because all you said was, go, follow this guy. He knows what he's doing, or something like that. And it was a bacon video, and I mean, it was so cool to see those communities interact, and I appreciate it. I wanted to tell you that.
No, man, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the community, and I feel like the reason we do have a community is because, dude, it's all built on trust, right? All of it's trust, because I don't. There's no reason to put on a show. Yeah, you can be a little playful, but at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, I only want to teach people the exact thing that I would want to teach my kids or my best friend, right? And
Yeah.
so I don't want to tell somebody something else that maybe someone might pay me a little money if I kind of sway this way and say, hey, this is a cool thing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say, fuck you. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry, because that's not me. That's not what I'm doing any of this for.
Right.
Money will come and go. People will come and go. Things will come and go. But at the end of the day, man, for real, I just want to teach people the way that I know that I think is the right way. And then they can maybe teach themselves, and they can start saving money or like learning how to eat better, and
Yep.
then doing these things, and then reverse all this stuff of like, here, buy this, buy this. Like, it's all pre-made, pre-made, pre-made. And it's like, I grew up in a pre-made, like frozen food, like all sort. That's why I was overweight, man. I grew up with
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff, and I got two kids and one on the way, and I see the way that the society is. I see people, and I see like everyone needs like a little bit of help, man. And so it's like, I want to now be that person. Like, no, forget all this shit. I'm here to like help. So if you want my advice, I'm going to give you real advice. And if you don't like it, please don't follow. If you like it, please follow. And then I'm not
Mm-hmm.
I'm not upset about any of it, because I'm not here to just gain you as a follower. I'm
Sure.
here to actually just help, man. I don't.
Right.
At the end of the day, you say, give me, oh, he's 60 million followers. That's wonderful, because that means I'm helping 60 million people. They're learning about something. That's how I
Yeah.
think of it. Not that these fucking people get to see me all the time. Like,
They get to listen to your beautiful voice.
yeah.
Oh, so good. So what's some low-hanging fruit? If someone asks you, like, yeah, I'm just getting started in this food thing at home and I'm looking to save a little bit of money, what is like your go-to tip for someone that wants to go to the grocery store and just like trying to figure this all out?
Easiest one, baby. A whole chicken. Whole chicken. Quit buying these boneless, skinless breast. I mean, I get it. So there's different types of chicken, and people are going to argue, well, I can get boneless, skinless chicken breasts for 99 cents a pound. Well, you can, but what are these chicken breasts,
Yeah,
And so
that's scary.
if we're looking for something that's equal, right? And so I'm doing equal brands. So a boneless, skinless chicken breast from one brand, and then a whole chicken from another brand, right? So the boneless, skinless chicken breasts at this point, let's just say they're $9 a pound, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So this is at, like, I don't know, a regular grocery store. They have organic, all that. So $9 a pound. You can get a whole chicken at this same grocery store for $2.99 a pound, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so once you take off these two breasts, it's going to equal that $9 over here. So now you have your breasts and you're good to go. But now you've also got two legs, two thighs, you got two wings, and then you got a back for soup. And people just sleep on that all day because they don't have time, they don't know how to do it, But all of it is just, or they say they don't like chicken thigh, but it's all bullshit. I think it's just the way that they were raised or what they know, and it's just habit. And so 100%. I'm trying to teach you, come on, man, like, cut up this whole chicken, stop buying these expensive boneless, skinless chicken breasts because they're just making money. This is margins. That's the number one margin thing. When I was a butcher, boneless, skinless chicken breasts.
Are you serious?
Number one every month. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts. They love selling them. Because it's a whole chicken, man. Just think about if we got a bunch of chickens for $1 a pound and we broke them down, we're selling them for $9. Yeah. $9 a pound. From $1 to $9. That is just straight money.
Yeah.
And people don't realize it.
I don't understand when people say I don't like dark meat. You're telling me if I blindfolded you and put a bite of chicken breast versus a bite of chicken thigh and you put it in your mouth and chewed and ate it, you're going to say anyone is going to pick the breast over the thigh. I get it.
My mother doesn't like dark meat. I grew up eating chicken breast. When I had some dark meat, man, oh man, what a life changer. Huh?
Yeah, I know. My wife is the same way, but I don't get it still. Now she's got my kids brainwashed. I eat the chicken breast because it's lower fat, lower calories, but not all the time. I eat everything, but I mean, if I'm trying to stay lean, I'll try to eat the chicken breast. But
so if you want just the chicken breast, right? Get that whole chicken, throw the rest of it into a pot. You know you're going to use that stock. You know you're going to use it, so it's like either way you're going to win. So you got that stock.
At the very least, you got stock for free. That's the way you at the very least.
If you don't like the dark meat, you can leave it in there. You got a dog. Give your dog some beautiful chicken. Come on. Stop wasting your dough.
Yeah. Oh, we talked about the chuck eye. Okay, I heard you talking about this too. This is very interesting to me. The whole flank steak, how the Argentinians cook it as a whole, and they leave the membrane on. Talk about that a little bit for me, because I have never heard of that before, but I've seen it online. After you described it, I'm like, oh, that was the video I saw over here.
So, that was not me.
No? Are you serious?
Yes. I think so. I didn't have one. I think that you're talking about like Al Fergoni or something. But
no, you were actually talking about it with Ethan, I think, on the podcast. The whole skirt steak. What did I say?
Oh, so just the skirt steak.
But it was like you were talking about how they cook it whole and leave.
So there's different things. So there's different skirt steaks, right? And so like I'm thinking maybe Al like his Argentine. So I don't know Argentine style. I just know about what he does. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So what they do is they take all of this as one piece with the membrane still left on it, which I haven't done yet, which I would love to do, but I've done it with just the skirt steak by itself, right? So I haven't done it with the whole entire piece yet.
I gotta get one of those and try that out, because that sounds like it'll be amazing. But what I thought it was you talking about it, but it's like you don't cook it to that, just like marinate and grill it medium rare. You like cook it all the way through, more like a brisket texture or something like that.
And so with the which I can get, or you can get at any like Costco or wherever. That's going to be the outside skirt steak. So the
Okay.
outside skirt steak is going to have both sides are going to be fully covered in membrane. It's going to
Okay.
be you can't even chew through it. But this is the stuff that protects the meat. That's what Al is talking about. And
Okay.
so this is when you're cooking it low and slow, brisket style if you want, and just let it render. And then that membrane almost becomes crispy,
Right.
and it's the same with like beef ribs or pork
Yep.
ribs. When people complain, they say, I don't like the membrane.
Yeah.
It's a different form of rib. It's a different style. So
Yeah.
some style of rib, I like the membrane on. Some style of rib, I don't want them on. And so,
I agree 100% with you. Sometimes that membrane, like
oh,
when we cook a ton of St. Louis ribs for festivals, we'll leave the membrane on because
yeah.
that holds the moisture in, and it gets like almost like chicken skin, like crispy
And
like
that
that.
chew, that little rip at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
It just keeps that salt flavor at the bottom. I know that's exactly it, man. So I like that with beef ribs a lot of the time.
Hmm.
I definitely want to leave the membrane on there. It's just because you taste the fat. You taste like everything rendered down. So that's why I love that stuff, man.
What's your favorite go-to family meal when you're cooking at home for your wife and kids?
Oh man, I mean, probably something Mexican.
Yeah.
Something Mexican, man. I'm a fiend for the Mexican food, and I kind of push it in my family's face. I do like a lot of carne asada or chicken, like grilled chicken, but
Hmm.
anything like, especially since now, like I've been trying to stay a little bit more fit. I
Hmm.
eat a lot of the same meals, man. So I'll do some sort of protein, some sort of meat. I mean, any meat,
Yeah.
chicken, steaks, whatever, and then I'll do more of one of those like salads, or so I'll get the bunch of meat, a little bit of lettuce, a little bit of tomato, a little bit of sour cream, some salsa, and then kind of go to town. And I'll make the kids, I'll give them some tortillas so they can make little burritos, and I'll make a side of rice. But for me, I've eaten, I think enough rice for my 2 lifetimes where I could probably just skip a few rice meals. I'm not saying I'll never eat rice again, but I mean, I'll save it for when I'm eating some good Thai food and when I really
Oh
need
yeah.
it. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to learn how to re-eat, not just to be a glutton.
Oh man, that sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you on that. I that's what I tell people about beer and booze. For me is like I already drank enough for 2 lifetimes, so I don't have to drink anymore.
Yeah, man. I've
Uh,
I've been there too.
yeah. Um, what's next for Meat Dad? You guys gonna keep rolling with content? Do you have anything new in the pipeline you haven't talked about yet?
We're gonna take over the world, man. We're
Nice.
gonna take it over. No, it's
One chuck eye roast at a time.
one chuck eye roast at a time. Now I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of people that are on board to. I want to teach people and get people the right stuff and the right information as much as possible. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, I in the near future here, one of my buddies, we have something brewed up about a meat class.
Okay.
So an online meat class, and to teach people a little bit about, not only cooking the stuff, but how to break it down and how to get it for less expensive, and then how to cook it and how to
Nice.
store it and how to keep your knife sharp and that kind of stuff. All the stuff that, a little bit more detail, because the short content I can get it to you, but I mean,
That's
I
really
haven't
smart.
even scratched YouTube either. I have, I don't know, 12,000 followers from a few videos I posted, but it's just it's different content. It's long form. And so
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to do a little bit of both. We're going to get some long form and working with some meat company here soon. And a lot of, yeah, we got
I
apparel, we got Meat Dad apparel, we got seasonings, we got knives, man. It's crazy. It's a weird world, man. Let me tell you, it's a weird world. It's
well, absolutely. I sent you out some sauces and rubs and a Deuce's Wild hat.
okay.
So so hopefully that comes out to you soon. I was
Yes, I saw the mailman walk up with a box, so I'm really hoping that's
oh, that would
I'm
be fast. That would be
I'm
amazing.
hoping that's it. So
Yeah.
I'm
That would be
excited. I
awesome.
am, man. I love all this stuff, man. I mean, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate, like we've talked about me. I appreciate what you do for the
Thank
barbecue
you.
community and for
Absolutely.
for the world, man, for the internet and like all of it. It's
Yeah.
you
I mean, I really,
people underestimate the amount of help that real people like you are really doing, and so it's
that's the
really
big
nice to
thing
have
that,
genuine.
yeah. And that's the big thing that we came with the content is like, we started it, through our catering company lens, but really what we're doing is barbecue education. And, I think there's so much information, just like what all the stuff that you talk about, how much more in depth you can be is like, but people are loving the short form, so that's what we're going with. But there is so much information out there, and the more I can help, the happier it makes me. Is like I get questions all the time. People, especially around the holidays. I don't know if I always get text messages.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Is my turkey done? Or how did you do that? Can you send me the carving video again? And I just like, it kind of cracks me up. It doesn't really bother me. It's kind of funny that everybody on the holidays is reaching out. It's so funny.
It's the same so during the holidays in the meat world, you would see an influx of human beings you've never seen before throughout the year, right? So you have a lot of the regulars and this, but all these people that want the special cut from the butcher or done a different way or a special thing from Whole Foods. So it's the same kind of thing. And so for me, I would get a million questions behind that counter. But I'll tell you what, man, during the holiday time,
Yeah.
I think I'm just going to make like a Q&A or something because there is so many because I want to answer them. I want to help. And it's like I'm jumping on there trying to get all these I did this and I took this out of the freezer and how do I thaw this and how many days and I'm like
I just thought of something. We could do a skit of like me coming up to the meat counter and asking all these crazy questions.
Every question possible.
Yeah, that would be so
man,
funny.
can I have a ribeye roast but cut all the fat off and then tie it back on and then grind you're yeah. They saw it on Julia Child at some point.
Oh, yeah. And it was on Pinterest, so it's got to be good. Oh, man.
Now I'm going to be to blame when all these guys are going up to the meat counter asking for chuck eyes, though. I'll tell you that. And they're going to
yeah. For sure.
I've heard it already. Yeah.
I'm going to get my hands on one and talk more about it because I think it's so cool that you can get that for whatever. And I'm excited.
And then you can still get a couple more Denver steaks. And then the rest of it, dude, carne asada. The rest of that eye, super thin, marinate that in some lime and some chili and just. It doesn't have to be a pot roast. It doesn't have to at all. And people just, I'll tell you what, chuck. You can use chuck and have a whole restaurant. And I think you would understand after you kind of get you can have a whole restaurant with just using chuck. You'll have braised meat. You can have, you can have steaks. You can have fajitas. You can have burgers, the best burgers. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And you can create 200 different meals just using chuck. So
that's so cool.
Or I don't know. Right. That's just a number.
Well, I was thinking too, and barbecued and grilled, and there's so many. You're right.
So many.
Slice it thin, leave it fat, and slow cook it. Lots of different ways. Like you're saying.
You make beef jerky off the lean part of it. You can just continue to go with it.
All right, one more question, then we're going to do the lightning round. What advice if someone's just starting into content creation and like they want to start their channel, any advice for a new content creator getting started? Because they look at your channel, they'll be like 1 million, crazy. Like people are looking up to you now as the big dog that knows what's going on.
I appreciate that. And the only advice I would give people is to just keep staying true to yourself and honest to yourself. And that's 100% true. That's it, man. True to yourself, honest to yourself. Because if you start moving in some direction of any sort of agendas that you may not fully back, you're going to have to die on that hill. And then you're going to create a human that it's not even you anymore.
Right.
And so for me, I've died on the hill of integrity and staying true to myself. So anytime I get questioned by millions of people what I'm doing, I feel good about it because it was my decision and it's my truth. So
Yeah.
everyone else is going to have different truths for whatever I say. No, it's going to be for anybody. It's not just me, and I know that, and I don't take it personal. So
Right.
no matter what you say, Brenda says, Danny says, everybody's going to have an opinion about it, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to say, this guy's doing it right, this guy's doing it wrong, this is the best way ever, right? Everyone's going to have the same thing. So for me, the way that I live with myself and everything that I preach is that it's true to me.
Right.
And so when I show you a product or anything, I'm using that shit. I could have made thousands of dollars off of a bunch of stuff, man, of just selling. I cut it all off. I don't want any of it. I made my own seasoning to not do that. I paired up with a knife company because I don't want to just push somebody's knives that are really expensive and they're not really worth it because it could make me money. So I can make less money and keep my integrity. I can do the stuff that I love and keep my honesty. And so all these things at the end of the day, what it's done for me is not only help me grow faster, the community I've built because of it, being honest, being respectful, being friends with people like you.
Yeah.
All it does is make you grow. And people want to be your friend because you're just being you're being yourself and you're being real. And there's nothing beyond it for me. It's just being human, bro. So
that's
there's a lot.
Good advice.
You can get caught way up in this, man, and money can get thrown at you. And there's some big meat companies that threw some money my way that if I represented, that meat company, then I'd probably be pretty good with my family, right? But my integrity says, this isn't the way I want meat to sell. This isn't the way I want people to buy meat. This is not it for me. What I want people to do is the old school, get a whole cow, get a quarter cow, get a half cow, get it sent to their house somehow. That's what I want to bring into this world. I want to get people the better deal, the better meat, the better price, and then sent to their house instead of sending you these little shitty cuts we don't even know where they're coming from anymore. And so I want to bring the old back to the new and try to incorporate everyone in, and then just truth. Just why are we lying? No reason to lie about anything. Nothing.
And transparency is key, and especially now with the internet and everything else going on, is like the more transparent, the more truthful and true to yourself, like you were saying, I think the better for sure. And I always tell people, it's like, this is how I do it. This doesn't mean that it's the best way or the right way. This is, if I'm making burnt ends, this is how I like to make burnt ends. There's 1,000 other ways you can do it, but this is how I like to do it. So, you know,
and it's hard sometimes because you may misspeak or you may do this, and then all of a sudden it's you're judged till the end of time. But
this guy should never cook barbecue again.
This kind of stuff, and you're just and for me in the beginning, it was like I would respond like probably not the right way, but then. But then as it continued to go, and I'm realizing that, most of these people, they don't even know anything about me. They're just doing what they're doing. They're doing the internet, and I'd like there to be less internet bullies out there, but it's inevitable, man. So I understand it. And
it's like Gary Vee or Joe Rogan talk about. It's like if they have that much problem and they got to hate on you in the comments, then they're the one that have the issue and the insecurities or the, drama in their life. It's not what you're putting out. It's all on their side. And I try to stay, I comment back on the positive and I stay away from the negative because I catch myself responding back and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to say anything. But some of the comments can be rough.
Yeah, they could be very rough. And, I guess it just depends on the situation, but I usually try to keep it mostly positive as well because there's no reason to fuel this shitty fire, Just
no, I agree.
And then once in a while, though, I'll tell you to fuck off.
Hey, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. All right. MeatDad's got a busy schedule, so we're going to try to get him off here. So the last thing we're going to do is the lightning round. So I got 10 items here on my list, and you just give me your first response when you hear them.
Okay.
Favorite cut of meat to cook?
Skirt steak.
Go-to social media strategy?
Honesty.
Most essential butcher tool.
A boning knife, baby.
Nice. Top tip for cooking steak.
Thermometer.
Good one. Favorite dish to make if you're making it for a crowd, like a bigger group.
A ton of tri-tip, man. Barbecue tri-tip. California boy right here, man.
Nice. Okay, favorite foodie follow on Instagram. Favorite account you like to follow on Instagram about food.
Oh, God. This is tough, man. There's some good ones. I mean, I gotta shout out to my boy Matt Gork, man, the meat teacher.
Oh, yeah.
I love watching him, man. That's my man. I mean, I'm gonna be leaving so many people out, so I'll just leave it at that.
All right. He's a good one.
He keeps it cool, man. So
yep.
Shout out.
Okay, this is my favorite one. Hulk Hogan or Macho Man?
Macho Man. Come on, baby.
Best meat preparation technique. I don't know what that is.
The best meat preparation technique.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Okay. All right. And last one is current food trend you're excited about.
Current food trend, low carb, man, because I can find some shit now. So
yeah.
It's kind of nice. Everyone is doing this low carb. I can find a couple of these random snacks that I shouldn't eat. So I'll take the low carb thing, man.
They got like protein potato chips and stuff
yeah,
like
random
that.
Stuff. You know, they got chicken chips and all that. I mean, it's made it a little bit easier. So I would say that, the low carb and then adding the protein to it, man. There's some cool stuff. There's this chip company, actually, it's just potato chips. I'll shout them out. Yeah. They're cooking their chips with beef tallow. And
that's a real deal.
Yeah, and so they're working on it, and they sent me out some bags, and it's fun. So I wish I knew the name right now, but
I would check that out because it's got to have more flavor, and everyone's saying the seed oils and all that stuff is not the best way to go. So maybe that's a new up and coming thing. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, they just have they had the sea salt and. Which is good. A little bit too beefy for me, you know. I think that we had talked, you know, which is good because we can do a little feedback. They had thought the same thing, and so they're messing with it a little bit. And then the next thing is going to be some flavors, which that'll be exciting to me too. If we can get some flavors, maybe with no sugar, and that's
awesome.
And I'm like, all right, then I can have a couple potato chips and not feel so bad, you know.
There you go. Where can everybody find you if they want to follow your stuff on it? Online.
Oh, you can check me out. You can find me at themeatdad.com or MeatDad on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, MeatDad, the MeatDad. You'll find me. You'll hear the voice.
All right, Tony, man, this has been so cool, and hopefully we can do another one in the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
And we'll be in touch, man. Thank you so much.
All right. Good talking to you.